talented
or smart, and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I'm here with a brand new epic movie rant. And this epic movie rant is going to be for the final, hopefully final installment of this review series. And this one, ironically, came out in the biggest disaster for movies 2017. Wow. This is refreshing news. Yeah, refreshing year, great year for movies that was. So many great films. Yeah, that's sarcasm, by the way. This film is going to be for none other than the 5th entry and the last of this review series, and hopefully this is the last one they do and ever do. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Directed by, I can't remember whoever the fuck directed this, because I don't care. Just two guys I've never heard of in my life. Just two guys that killed this franchise. I don't know what their names are, and I don't care who their names are. Just two bad directors. So what's the plot of this? Well, Captain Jack Sparrow this time finds the winds of ill fortune blowing even more strongly when deadly ghost pirates led by his old nemesis, Captain Salazar, escape from the Devil's Triangle. I thought his old nemesis was Davy Jones. Determined to kill every pirate at sea, including him. Captain Jack's only hope of survival lies in seeking out the legendary trident of Poseidon, a powerful artifact that bestows upon its possessor the total control over the seas. So, how was this made? Well, shortly before the release of Monster Hunter, the cast and crew of 4 were told to set aside time in the near future because Disney intended to shoot a 5th film and 6th film back-to-back again. But it was later stated only a 5th film was in the works. Thank God, with Terry Rossio writing a script for a 5th film without his partner Ted Elliott. Rob Marshall was rumored to return to direct, but he declined after choosing to direct Into the Woods. After Marshall passed on the film, many directors were rumored to take over. Gore Verbinski, responsible for the original 3 films, but he obviously made a good choice because he felt that there's no reason other than financial reasons in making this movie. Yeah, and he's actually right, because there's no reason to make this. The eventual shortlist included Frederick Bond, Rupert Sanders, and the eventual choice, Norwegian film duo, the Norwegian film duo responsible for this movie. The studio then chose them because they were based on their Academy Award-nominated high-sea film Kon-Tiki, and their ability to work with a limited budget. And Rosio's script was rejected, and the writer stated a major reason was its use of a female villain, which made actor Johnny Depp worried that he would be redundant to Dark Shadows, which featured a female villain. Then in January 2013, Disney hired Jeff Nathanson to work on a script, and Ronan and Sandberg said they were particularly moved by Nathanson's funny and touching script, which convinced him to sign on to direct in May. And Ronan believing that the script was all there, but needed scenes to carry the tradition of Gore Verbinski, pretty emotional chord and big action set pieces. Then in August, Ronan and Sandberg revealed the film would be titled Dead Men Tell No Tales, but then the following month, producer Jerry Bruckheimer said they had outlined Everyone Loves the script is not done, explaining that the reason would be postponed beyond summer 2015. A studio questioned Depp's ability following the financial losses of The Lone Ranger. Yeah, because I forgot to mention, guys, after they made a 4th Pirates of the Caribbean movie, they made all that money they lost back with the other Jerry Bruckheimer Disney films. Then they then still tried to move on anyway and tried to make The Lone Ranger. It bombed at the box office again. So Bruckheimer was like, Counting my money. Oh, I know. I'll make another fifth Pirates of the Caribbean movie and I'll make it shit. Because I just don't give a fuck anymore. Yeah. Bruckheimer pretty much revealed the script and budget issues were behind the delay, and Nathanson was at work on a second draft based on a well-received outline. And they needed a script or budget everyone would approve. And Depp was even invited to collaborate on the script, with the actor believing it would be the last of the franchise and wanting to end it right. Yeah, because I don't blame Depp for wanting to end this franchise too. After the script was accepted, the film was greenlit by Disney in July 2014 and was going to be released on July 7th, 2017. The directors were inspired by the first movie and stated that the original was thrilling and above all a comedy with heart, and wanted to reinvent the structured dynamics between the characters. In addition to recapturing the best of the previous franchise installments, the directors had the works of Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton in mind when crafting the tone of the film. The pair wanted the film to be the most emotional of the series and explore the roots of Jack Sparrow. They wanted to use Jack Sparrow's compass as the key to unlock Salazar from his hell's prison in the Triangle, and tone down some of the fantastic elements to ground it, even in parts of the Caribbean. And Jeffrey Rush argued the pair brought zero sensibility to traditional Hollywood franchise thinking, and Orlando Bloom, who even returned in this for like a few scenes, and that was it. Believing they had recaptured the simplicity and charm of the original film. And Kevin Sauderlo stated the producers wanted to take the franchise back to its origins, a story that gave characters a conclusion while opening new possibilities. Along with the directors and writers, many of the crew members were new to the franchise, replacing those who had served on the previous 4 films. The exception of Bruckheimer, co-star Penny Rose, and executive producer Chad Oman. So, yeah, after the film was shot and marketed, Devil Tell Tales premiered in Shanghai on May 11, 2017, and was released in the United States on May 26, 2017. And guess what, guys? This movie received really negative reviews from critics, for lots of great reasons. And it didn't even gross anywhere near as much as the previous 3 sequels did, at all. It still managed to out 100 million, surpass the first one by 100 million, but its only gross ended up being $795 million worldwide against a production budget of $230 to $320 million. Shit. Yeah, that means people don't give a shit anymore. People don't want this series anymore, they're tired of it. All of us were. As for my reaction, fuck this movie. Just fuck it. This movie sucked when it came out, and it sucks even today. You want to know why? Because this film is just an insult to Johnny Depp's legacy, it's an insult to Jack Sparrow, it's an insult to the franchise, it's even a complete insult to these 3 great movies, especially, and it's an insult to even Hector Barbosa. Then again, this released in 2017. This was the year of such shitty sequels and shitty movies in general, from Resident Evil 6 to Transformers 5 to Justice Week to The Last fucking Jedi to Despicable Me 3. There was a few rare good... We still had some rare good hits like Wonder Woman, Guardians Volume 2, Blade Runner 2049, and Logan, but that was about it. Those are only 4 really great... maybe It 2017, if you're willing to separate that movie from the director. But that's about it. Those were the only really good stuff to come out that year. Just about everything else sucked. Oh wait, Lego Batman movie. That too. And John Wick 2. Just pretty much 7 great films. The only great stuff that came out that year was those 7. Yeah, I went and saw this. I remember I was like hoping maybe this would maybe be better than Stranger Tides. It was not. It was worse. I hated it when I first saw it, and I agree this is worse than 4. Like, even 4 wasn't an insult to the series. Like, Pirates on Stranger Tides was also bad, but the difference is, when I saw that, I was like, that was just lame. That was just boring. Yeah, that movie was just boring. It's just not needed. Even that movie didn't shit on Jack Sparrow, or shit on Barbosa. And aside from a few neat sets, everyone feels like they're on autopilot here. Like, the plot is literally a hamster and fetch quest. It's a repeat of the whole first Pirates movie, Instructor, and fan service. The humor is an utter hit and miss, but with more misses. And the newer characters are dull, one-dimensional, or even annoying. Will Elizabeth's son is just literally a carbon Gary Stu copy of Will, but somehow even more flat. His girlfriend, Karina, exists just to help navigate the world, be annoying as fuck, even. And the new villain is just characterless and single-minded with the reason for his turn to being cursed is so convoluted that they don't even explain it. Like, people want to think this movie's convoluted and stuff. They want to shit on this movie for being convoluted. They think so. Watch this movie. This felt way more convoluted than this ever did. Like, yeah. You don't even explain it. And the returning characters, some of them do come back. The Gibbs comes back. Marty comes back. The two idiot guards from the first movie come back who are now pirates. And there aren't any better. The only character that's given some emotional character development was Barbossa in the arc. He's given like this insanely predictable and contrived story arc though. And even his story arc couldn't save this movie. It's really sad that movies these days get choose to meet the lowest level possible, especially these franchises. And around this year, this was around the time they just forgot the difference between smart, funny, and mindlessly stupid. Like many of the scenes that seem to be funny, they'd be funny if this were a cartoon, and it'd just be a stretch for anyone older than 7. It would make the audience cringe uncontrollably, and it's not humor. And CGI in this movie, like, the CGI in this movie is not even great. And it does not make a movie when the story is forced, the jokes are lame, and the story setting doesn't even hold true here. They felt like this CGI was crap compared to 2 and 3, where the CGI actually felt believable. And even the CGI in the first movie was believable. Disney spent like $230 million on this picture, and they couldn't even get a decent script. And it's pretty much my issue with what Disney puts out now today. The scripts are now garbage. This was around the year they were starting to become garbage. And it's the cheapest part of the entire production. They can't even do it better. The script's not even that terrible. It just, like, the scripts couldn't even get some good editing. A few tweaks here and there, it maybe would have been decent, but it still wouldn't have made this movie good. Because, like 4, this was just made for the money. No reason to make this movie. It was just made to attempt to make back that money they lost from the Lone Ranger. But Jerry Bruckheimer should have realized that people were done with this series. There was no hope of saving it. Clearly, and this whole movie shows, like, they clearly didn't want to make another Pirates movie. Even Johnny Depp clearly didn't want to be in this movie. Like, why not hire good script editors, make a movie that's actually good, and one that would actually make money, and one that doesn't get panned by critics, and still manages to nail overseas, though? No. But I wonder how bad the Hollywood script for this could be. It's like the people just wrote the script for this movie didn't even watch the first 3 movies. It's one thing to write a bad script, and it's another to write something that's nonsensical. It's just terrible from the script to the casting. The 2 new characters are just terrible. And Barbossa suddenly decides that he cares about this daughter of his, which we don't even know about, because he never had any daughters in the fucking first place, after he dumped her ass at an orphanage. But I wonder, like, what high the script writers were. Like, how much rum did the script writers drink when they wrote these lines? Did they, like, suddenly drink so much rum because they were inspired by rum in this franchise? And they were probably like, when they were writing the script, why is the rum gone? Because you guys drank it all when you were writing this shit. The first 3 films, Will Elizabeth's romance was developed over a period of time. And everyone's all like, this didn't even feel great. It didn't even feel perfectly written. No, it felt written. It felt believable. There. Because it took 3 movies for them to finally end up together. Yeah, they ended up going to separate worlds, but they were still married and together. And Elizabeth didn't even betray Will's trust. She stayed true to Will's word. She was faithful to him for those 10 years. And that's why the post-credit scene kind of hints that Will gets to return home after 10 years. This movie, they just rush his son and Karina's romance, even though it's not even necessary to the plot whatsoever. And each second of the movie just is spent thinking that Jack's going to come up with a really witty dialogue line, but it always falls short. Yeah, and the plot in this movie, yeah. Everyone is like with these 2 sequels. They're like, these sequels suck, the plot's convoluted. Like, no, they're not that convoluted. The plot of this movie is way more convoluted and complicating. And it just keeps thinking that, and it just gets boring, bloated, and worst of all, mind-draining, because it would leave us ready, it just makes us want to tear this movie to pieces. Like, with this movie, though, this movie was like 169 minutes long, but the thing is, though, this actually had entertaining moments. It wasn't boring as hell. It was actually entertaining to watch. Same with this, 150 minutes, entertaining to watch. Heck, the first movie was even longer than this, and even that was more entertaining to watch. This is like shorter than 4 and the other movies, but this does not even feel that short. This feels very effing long. Yeah, and it's hard. And we just have to forget, like, stating that most of the characters, the new ones, are just half-baked qualities. The love subplot is underdeveloped, about as almost not nearly as much as the mermaid one, but it's still underdeveloped and it's still lame. There's hardly even a story in here, honestly. There's no sequence, no explanation to any scene, nothing leads to anything. It's just dreamy for the sake of nonsensical myth and who knows what the fuck else. Nothing's believable here. The score is repetitive, annoying, and it could have been turned off and just played during the credits. Unnecessarily, it's ridiculously played throughout to hype up drama. Yeah, they even reuse scores from the first 3 movies. During near the finale or climax, they literally reused the same score from the 3rd one multiple times. During the Turner scenes, they literally reused the theme from the ending of A World's End. Because they want to copy the nostalgia fan service. And it's just boring, annoying explosions that just start anywhere for the sake of creating an action scene. It was just a dump. And it's like... And there's no plot either. Because, well, yeah. The 2 new faces for the cast, the playing protagonists maybe, were just forgettable. And the minute you see Sparrow waking up in an open safe, you can literally read his face, and you hear wonder why he's still doing this movie. He's like, I don't blame Depp at all. A lot of people seem to blame Depp for his Jack in this movie, but I don't. Guys, I don't think any of this was Jack's fault. I don't think any of this was Johnny Depp's fault. Like, Johnny Depp just needed to do this because he was getting no other roles. Like... And Jeffrey Rush just feels the same the minute you hear him ponder upon it, and it was written on his face, and from the moment you show him sitting bored in a ship, he just plays retarded, pulls out a gun, and shoots nearly missing the heads of his musical team in order to quiet them down. It's like he was saying, why am I still in this franchise? It's like he was trying to finally shoot Disney, because he still has to do these movies because he's got nothing else to do, aside from this franchise. And the only reason Depp was in this, only reason Depp came back was because we all know Amber Turd was ruining his chances of doing other roles with all those lies she made up just for attention. And just to get the world to revolve around her. So again, this series was the only moneymaker Depp had left. Because his other films that he was able to be in were all bombing at the box office, like Mordecai. And these were all clearly because of her. He did not deserve these fake allegations. You want to know what's worse after this, guys? Disney betrayed his ass and stabbed him clean in the back. And they threw him out of a role that he actually still enjoys doing for all the children's hospitals. Maybe it didn't seem like it in this movie, but he still enjoyed doing this role for all the children's hospitals and all the charities and stuff. Because he knew there were kids that loved his character. They really idolized him as an actor. And just in general. Like, Jack is the biggest role he has enjoyed doing most of his career, and Disney just betrayed him like that, and they decided, and you know what, Disney was like, since Johnny Depp's facing allegations, let's ruin his character. And let's disrespect his legacy, and just put him in even worse spot than Amber Turd has put him in. Let's side with Amber Turd, and then throw him out of the franchise for good. Like, and how does this movie even begin? Like, this 13 years after Calypso's maelstrom, a 12-year-old Henry Turner boards the Flying Dutchman, and he informs his father Will, who, we first see Will, he now literally looks like Davy Jones because he decided, nah, I don't want to do this bullshit, I don't want to guide these souls, even though it seemed like he was going to stick true to his promise in the 3rd film. He's like, nah, fuck that. This is boring now, so I'm going to start turning to Davy Jones. And he's such a douchebag asshole to his son. The minute he sees him on the ship, he's like, why are you doing to my ship? They know you're here. Get the fuck off. Like, he doesn't say that, but he literally acts like that. The minute he sees his son, he tells him to get the fuck off his ship. It's like he's so mad to see his son. Like, even Orlando Bloom sounded so mad he had to come back for this. Yeah. And his son tells him the curse which binds Will to the Dutchman only permits him to step on land once a decade can be broken by the trident of Poseidon. And Henry intends to recruit Jack Sparrow to help find it, but Will doesn't want this to happen. It's like, you stay away from Jack and you leave the seas. And he orders Henry to leave. And the Will and the Dutchman disappear into the sea, but Henry wants to find Jack in the trident anyway, so he ignores his dad's warnings, regardless, carelessly. And Will does come back for this movie. And it's for 1 or 2 scenes, and it's clearly just for the fan service paycheck, and that's it, because Also, Orlando Bloom has nothing else to do outside of this franchise, except for Lord of the Rings. And then, because the Hobbit trilogy had ended, he was like, well, I gotta do another Pirates of the Caribbean movie for the paycheck. Because this and Pirates and Lord of the Rings are all Orlando has for box office revenue. Those two franchises are all he really has for profits. And then the movie cuts again to 9 years later in 1751. Henry's now a sailor for the Royal Navy, and it sails to the supernatural Devil's Triangle and stumbles upon the wreck of Santa Mary, with his undead crew led by Spanish pirate hunter Captain Salazar attacks. They kill the crew, they leave Henry as a sole survivor so he can deliver a message to Jack Sparrow after they see his wanted poster near him, because apparently Jack Sparrow killed Salazar and his crew decades ago, leading them to the Devil's Triangle and unveilingly cursed them. And then, of course, we then go to St. Martin, where an astronomer named Karina Smith was sentenced to death for witchcraft, but she escapes and she crosses paths with Jack Sparrow and his crew, who botch a bank robbery, and it turns out Jack's suffering from a spell of bad luck. And while most of the crew come back, the only ones who come back are Gibbs and Marty are back, like, where the fuck's Raggedy? Where the fuck's Pintle? Where the fuck's Cotton with the parrots? Where the hell are they gone? They just like, we don't want to be pirates anymore, we're leaving. Did they just suddenly decide that? I think Gibbs and Marty are the only ones that come back, and in their first scene, they're such assholes. The minute you meet them, no, I'm not kidding. Their first scene you meet them, they are such unlikable douchebag pricks. Because you want to know, the bank robbery fails, and the reason why is because they're all like, you know what, we're going to leave you, you've lost your crew, you've lost your luck, we're out of here, you're not our captain anymore. Yeah, and even Gibbs of all fucking people leaves Jack. Even him. That's not what Gibbs would do at all. Gibbs is not this big of an asshole. It feels uncharacteristic of the character. He's one of the only loyal crew members to Jack Sparrow. Gibbs would not abandon him like that. Like, what the hell? And then Jack trades his compass for a drink, and it's an act that destroys the Devil's Triangle, and it frees Salazar and his crew once more, which is a huge plot hole because, okay, in these movies, he trades the compass multiple times. Multiple. And if that happened, why didn't it wake up Salazar then? In any of these movies? Why did it not do that? And of course, Karina learns that Henry returns looking for the translocation, and she offers to help him using her unknown father's diary. And then of course, Karina and Jack stall the execution process, and they escape with the help of Henry Jack's crew. And they set sail on the dying Gull, and Karina deciphers the clues to her diary, and discovers that the stars will lead to an island where the trident is hidden, and then the rest of the movie progresses from there, and it does not get better. And the only reason his crew or even Jack's crew decided to come back is because Henry paid them money. Not because they felt bad for being assholes and treating Jack like shit over a botched robbery that clearly was not his fault. They just come back because Henry paid them money. They only care about getting money. Yeah. And Jack is not Jack in this movie. He's supposed to be a genius playing the fool, and he always manages to cleverly bend situations to his favor, get out of sticky situations based on his quick wit and negotiating skills. He has the upper hand even when his back's against the wall, and in this one, he's just a drunk pussy and a fool. A pathetic drunk at that moment. He uncomfortably lushes over young girls undressing, gets out of situations just based on luck or the actions of others, and things just happen to him rather than because of his actions, which is never a good basis for a main character, and none of his lines here land. Like, I couldn't even think of one that was even funny. I can't remember what it was, and the writers of this movie just don't understand Jack Sparrow, or clearly the directors. It's a perfect example of this retconning items that Jack carries over on him. And there's supposed to be a hint at a rich backstory of the great adventures of Captain Jack Sparrow. And add on the world building, and it makes the character more three-dimensional. And what on earth was he doing when he managed to pick up a reindeer's shin bone? Like, where was he? Does it hold particular personal significance to him? Nope. Some sailors he didn't really know just gave him all of it at the same time. His outfit hasn't even changed at all since. And all the clever writing, verbosity, and intelligent humor of the first three is gone. There's like... When the originals had many great lines, like, I'm dispatched to Quincy your request, allow me to let him shade your intellectual thicket, more lines, and that gave a beautiful poetic quality and stuff. And this line, like, has Henry saying, I'm the son of Henry Wilter and Elizabeth Swann. Ew. And Jack's like, ew, you're the evil spawn of those two. What? That's what you have to say about your two first companions? Yeah, they betray you quite a few times, but there's still your first two companions. Those two still saved your ass from hanging and stuff. Those two kind of helped you get onto the Dutchman so you could get the Dutchman to get Davy Jones's heart. They staged a parlay for that, but that was to get Jack on the ship so that he could get access to the hearts. That was kind of part of their plan. In the third one. Stuff. Like, this just feels like a high schooler's bad attempt at writing a pirate's fanfic. It's not how Jack Sparrow talks, and it's out of character. He's very fond of Will and Elizabeth, and we're given no reason as to why he wouldn't extend that to their son. And the only things he does Mommy ever ask about me? No. Did she ever call my name in her sleep? No. Who the heck is this for? Why is he saying this stuff to her son? Like, in the third one, at Elizabeth's final scene with Jack Sparrow, it wouldn't have worked out between us. Keep telling yourself that, darling. And when she tries to kiss him goodbye, it's like, once is enough. He's kind of come to accept that Elizabeth loves Will. At that rate, he kind of just went on to accept that. Elizabeth loves Will, and he decided that Elizabeth and Will are better together. It clearly decided that in the third one, after he's pretty much saved Will from dying. He pretty much decided to accept that Elizabeth just wasn't for him. Here. So why would he say those lines here? It makes no sense. Much of the script is written this way, and it takes the place of the witty repartee and intellectual besting we've had before, and misses the point of a celebrity cameo as a relative. In the third and fourth, you have Keith Richards as Jack Sparrow's dad, because that's who Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow character was modeled after. And this meant that Keith was naturally a good fit tonally and psychologically, and his inclusion was a fitting tribute to pay homage to inspiration for Depp's character. And their similarities made the father-son relationship plausible embedded in, and yeah, their scene in End Stranger Tides was one of the best scenes of that movie. At least we got to see a little more of them in that one scene. This one, we have Paul McCarthy playing his unknown uncle, because they wanted to rehash what worked last time, but completely missing what made it work. This short appearance, complete with live Persian accent, is just jarring, gimmicky, and it takes you even further out of an already bad movie. For the sake of, hey, I recognize that guy, and a bad joke about a delayed hanging, what does it add? Real smooth brain stuff. The cinematography in this movie is even terrible. The whole thing just looks like it's shot on a soundstage under studio lights, which is why I say the movie had bad CGI, because everything's too clean in Hollywood. Compare that to the originals, where you felt you could smell the rotting fish on board the Dutchman, Barbossa's bad breath or the salt water of the maelstrom. It was so tangible and immersive, rich and visceral. The fact it was also grimy is actually this big part of why the franchise was successful. It's exciting and different, especially the first three movies. This picture, there's no beautiful landscape and spectacular panoramas. Some scenes look like a rehearsal for a theatrical performance. Too many visual effects, like unnatural images of a young Jack Sparrow, and there's many visual effects that the ship and some crew members of Captain Zalzar cannot be seen in the literal sense. And honestly, now we get on to the villain. Speaking of the villain Salazar is such a loser excuse of a villain. His plan makes no sense, he's not interesting, and even Javier Bardem doesn't even sound interested being in this movie. His design even sucks. And he's just boring to watch. Because, once he regains his humanity, he just wasted anyway, still trying to kill leads, and he gets defeated by Barbossa, so his plan just fucking means nothing, and it's just pathetic. He has a bland personality too, his goals are regrettable, and he just looks like a moron in his design. Well, I know Javier Bardem tried his best, but Javier Bardem's better in films like Skyfall and the Dune films. It wasn't even good enough to try to make Salazar a great villain like Javier Bardem's character was in Skyfall. He couldn't do that. That said, his motives aren't even new, because Lord Cutler Beckett from Deadman's Chestnut at World's End had the same plans as him, to end piracy. Yeah, that's just rehashing Beckett's. Just have a ghost. You should have just made him a ghost version of Beckett while you're at it. Just make him a ghost version of Cutler Beckett, because this guy's literally Cutler Beckett as a ghost. I would have been surprised if they did that. And it's painfully obvious. Barbossa has 2 new comic releases this movie. And the only reason they're there is to replace Pentel and Raggedy from the other movies. Raggedy and Pentel should have came back. But even they probably wouldn't have saved this movie. It's because these two have no personality, frankly. They don't serve any purpose. Because, well, I mean, Regan and Pintel, they were mostly just the comic relief, but they seemed like they had a purpose in the film. And they had more of a personality, and they were actually funny to watch. In the first film, they start off as creep rapists, implied rapists, and stuff, working for Barbossa. But then the sequels, second and third films, they break out of jail before they can be hung with the other cursed crew. And they pretty much side with Jack Sparrow, and they're now good guys. They have a Bible now. So they had better development in the first three movies. And heck, Regan even decides he doesn't want to pursue a glass eye anymore after Barbossa takes his other wooden one. He clearly decided that wooden eye was crap because it keeps falling out of him. And he pretty much sets himself with a pirate patch by the end of the third film. So he decides that new pirate patch is his eye that will never pop out, will never fall out, and it can actually stick in him. The third film, and even Pintel likes his new look. And speaking of Barbossa himself, the only reason he's even in this movie is because he was in the other one, so he's got to be in this. That's the only point he even has in this. His goal even rehashes Barbossa's from the first Pirates movie. We have more references to the first three movies as well, because we need that nostalgia in there, because we are in that era, because this was 2017 was the beginning of that era where we have to have nothing but stupid nostalgia throwbacks for many late franchises and screwing over characters. And I almost forgot to mention most of the action in this movie, in this fucking action movie, because there's not a single fucking action-worthy scene in this movie. It's more dramatic, it's more boring, it's more nihilistic. And also, if this is the fifth film, shouldn't you be referencing On Stranger Tides? Because this film barely references On Stranger Tides, it's like they wanted to forget about that movie. To the point it looks more like a sequel to the original trilogy rather than a fourth film. Which seemed like the start of a new trilogy before the fifth film decided to bring back Will and Elizabeth, because no one liked On Stranger Tides for that reason, so we gotta bring back Will and Elizabeth. And it makes On Stranger Tides look like an out-of-place entry in a series, the only references it has, the Black Pearl's still in the bottle, Barbossa commands the Queen has revenge, and the mention of Blackbeard. It would seem, without those, you could literally just erase those, and the fourth film would have never existed. And Scrum's the only character introduced in the fourth film who even returns here. The rest, Angelica, maybe that's for the best. The Queen Anne's Revenge crew, Philip Swift and Serena, those are also for the best because their love romantic relationship plot sucked. They don't exist. They never existed. And though, while Marty and the two dumb guards come back, they were assumed to be dead by Blackbeard's attack on the Black Pearl. So they return with no explanation, just to say this is connected to the original three. And other pirates from the other movies, like from the first three movies, like Cotton, the deaf one with the parrot that talks for him, Regan and Pintel, they don't even return. Like, they could have done the same as with Marty and the two dumb guards. And Bootstrap, and also, where's Will's father, Bootstrap Bill? Like, in the third film, after Beckett is defeated, he promised to stay on the Flying Dutchman with Will, so this movie seems to treat this whole Curse of the Dutchman thing like it was a downer for Will, but him and his dad were reunited at the end of the third film, so it really wasn't that bad of an ending because he still had his dad for company. Like, they don't even explain why he's absent here. Like, let me guess. So I'm guessing, like, even Stellan Skarsgård clearly probably didn't want to be in this movie because it obviously was going to be terrible. I'm guessing Bootstrap just got bored and decided to just ditch his son without an explanation. And more about Karina I've mentioned. Karina is so fucking annoying and grating to watch. Like, before Helena from Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was created, we had Karina from this movie. She just has that all about me smug attitude, is arrogant, whiny, bratty, even, and just acts like everything revolves around her. She's like, no, I'm leading the map. I'm going to lead the map around here, because I'm the better one. That's half her attitude the whole movie. And she's even revealed to be Barbossa's daughter near the end of the film. How the fuck is that even possible? Hector never had any kids. How would we know that? Hector never mentioned he had any daughters. He never mentioned that in the original 3 movies. I wonder where that was. Wow, why didn't we know about that? That would have been useful to know. It's just never explained. And the way this movie ends is ass, because Barbossa and Jack decide to restore the Black Pearl to its original size, and they continue, and after that, the whole game continues their journey to the island, Barbossa taking command of the Pearl once more, and literally betraying Jack again. And we have that annoying as fuck monkey back. Yeah, that annoying monkey Barbossa owns. I like the original 3 movies, but that monkey is fucking annoying. I don't know why that monkey's even back, and I don't know how, and also in Stranger Tides, how the fuck was that monkey even alive and still on that ship if the rest of the crew were presumed to be dead? How is the monkey still alive? Wouldn't the monkey be dead too? And during the voyage, Jack and Barbossa even realized Karina is the latter's long-lost daughter, which is the moment I've mentioned. It has no explained reason, just to add emotion to the movie. And the Pearl approaches the Trans Island and invades a Royal Navy warship until it's destroyed by the Mary before the Pearl runs aground on the island. Jack, Barbossa, and Karina use the island's magic to part the ocean, which opens a path to the Trident on the ocean floor. And Salazar captures Henry, possesses him to walk on the ocean floor and seize the Trident. And once he does so, Henry is given his body back, and Jack distracts Salazar, allowing Henry to destroy the Trident, breaking all curses upon the sea and restoring Salazar's crew to life. But the Trident's destruction causes the Divided Sea to close in on them, and the Pearl lowers its anchor to lift the group to safety, driven by Barbossa, but Salazar pursues them, still hell-bent on killing Jack anyways, despite getting his humanity back. So he decides to waste his freedom on that. Karina realizes Barbossa's her father too, and she spots a tattoo in his arm, like, "Who am I to you? The treasure! Bye!" And just jump. And after saying that, Barbossa just decides to jump off anyways, after Jack throws him a sword and kills Salazar, allowing others to escape. So yeah, pretty much, Barbossa fucking dies again. So, thanks. That's nice. That's useful. And so many people like, this was so emotional. This part made me cry watching this. How? Because Disney fucked over this great anti-hero? Risked his life for a daughter that was an annoying piece of shit the whole movie? Who pretty much got him killed? That's why? Now, oh hey, now, whenever you rewatch these 3 movies, it hurts now. Just remember with this movie, he dies the first time because this guy shoots him after he regains his humanity. But then, in this movie, he gets resurrected. And it leads to an epic setup for the 3rd film. He gets to eat the apple again. Then in this 3rd movie, he becomes Will Elizabeth's closest ally. He gets them married during the battle. He regains the Pearl, but Jack outsmarts him though. Then in the 4th film, he gains a new ship, at least. So, yeah, but no, in this movie, he wastes all that. He's gonna waste his resurrection. He fucking dies. That's it. Just like that. Then again, during the sequel trashology, Han, Luke, and Leia fucking die. Glass, David Dunn, Michael Glass, Kevin Wendell Cromwell fucking die. Then, of course, Wakanda Forever, T'Challa fucking dies at the beginning of the movie, and his mom then fucking dies. Thor Love and Thunder, Jane Foster gets cancer, becomes a Mary Sue, but fucking dies anyway. Spider-Man No Way Home, Aunt May fucking dies. Then, of course, what else can I think of? Infinity War, even Gamora fucking dies in Infinity War. Which really kind of sucked, and stuff. Loki even fucking dies in the beginning. Heimdall fucking dies in the beginning. John Wick 4. Chiron fucking dies in the beginning. Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny. Helena, Indy's godfather, is a complete asshole and treats him like shit. Punches him in the face to save his life. Scream 5, Dewey dies. This was beginning the era where just every good character dies in every single new sequel today. Who even gets a happy ending anymore at this rate? No one. Then after Barbossa dies, none of the pirates even look sad he's dead. They just Pirate's life, Hector. And they just mourn him they just don't, even Jack Sparrow doesn't even seem too sad that Barbossa's dead. None of the Barbossa's crew seems to be sad at all. Then after that, Henry and Karina reach Port Royal, and Will appears free from the Dutchman. His wife Elizabeth Swann, Keira Knightley, who's also there for the paycheck, and then to leave out of there, appears moments later, and the Turner family reunites. Henry and Karina kiss. Jack Sparrow then watches from the pearl before he sails away into the horizon, and Captain once again somehow adopts that monkey. Why would you adopt this fucking monkey that keeps stealing from you, keeps annoying the hell out of you? Why would you want to adopt this annoying thing? This annoying thing keeps stealing your stuff, keeps giving you hell. So you actually want to keep that damn fucking thing? No, I thought you hated that fucking monkey. And then, but it's not over yet, because the post-credits reveal that Will and Elizabeth are asleep in their bed. Davy Jones appears in their room, and he prepares to strike the couple, but Will wakes up to find no one in the room, and assuming he just had a nightmare, he goes back to sleep. It's oblivious to the wet barnacles on the floor, so people want to call this a great send-off for the Turners and Sparrow? No! This is not that. This is fucking hell for Will. This is hell for Elizabeth. This is even fucking hell for Jack Sparrow. Because you want to know why I included Jack Sparrow in this? Because Jack's debt with Jones is probably now going to be renewed for a third time. Because Davy being back, now that Davy Jones is back, these three movies don't mean shit anymore. Yeah, now, this movie, he has the pearl again, like in this ending of this movie, but it's not going to matter because it's just going to be back to this all over again here. And the ending of this movie, the whole point of this movie, the ending of this movie does not matter no more. The great send-off for these three characters does not matter no more. Because Davy Jones is back, and they're probably all going to be fucking dead. And you want to know why they're all fucking dead? Because this movie's never going to get it resolved. Because Disney canceled this movie. And Johnny Depp doesn't want to come back because Disney betrayed him. Is there any good qualities, though? Because speaking of, well, fine. Just speaking of this, I thought Depp did alright for what he was given, but he couldn't really save this movie, and neither did Jeffrey Rush, because both of them just seemed done with this series, and I don't blame them. All of us were too. Like, I don't get why people think it's fine to blame Johnny Depp for this movie, because, like, Johnny Depp clearly was only in this movie because Amber Turner was ruining any other Hollywood chances for him. This was all he had left. And another good thing is, at least this movie bombed, so we won't have to see another one of these sequels again. They wanted to do a 6, but Disney canceled it because of the reasons I've already mentioned. And even though he won the trial, Disney's like, we want you to come back. But Johnny Depp was making it clear that he is done working with Disney. So yeah, I'm glad he's not going back to Disney. Why would he go back to Disney after they stabbed him in the back like that? I wouldn't. Even I wouldn't if I was him. Disney did that to themselves. And they're starting to lose money on a lot of stuff. But that's it for Good Qualities, because in the end, this is just a shitty sequel that deserves to be devoured by the Kraken and taken to Davy Jones' locker. I would rather be killed by the Kraken, taken to Davy Jones' locker, drowned in the maelstrom, killed by the Fountain of Youth, or cursed by the Aztec gold from all the other 4 movies than ever watch this fucking movie. So, in the end, Dead Men Tell Tales is horseshit and should never be seen by any fans of the series at all. Anyways, that's it for my review of Dead Men Tell Tales. We're not going to read Dead Men Tell Tales. Here's how I'm going to rate this movie. So overall, if you love Pirates of the Caribbean, please stay away from this movie because there's no reason to exist other than to confuse and piss you off, no doubt. If you're wondering how I'm going to rate Dead Men Tell Tales, I am going to give Dead Men Tell Tales a 0 out of 10. There we go. That wraps up my review for Dead Men Tell Tales, and with that ends the Pirates of the Caribbean review series, now that we finished all 5 of the movies. So, I don't know what the next review series is going to be. Probably not going to do a review series for a while. Probably just going to try to do more original stuff. Like, I'm trying to watch the more older Sylvester Stallone stuff right now. So, or I'll probably just review older films for now. Maybe some John Candy comedies. And maybe some Sylvester Stallone action films. Yeah. Let's try to review those for a little while. Alright? Because, of course, I have a trip coming up. I don't really have time to do a review series in August. Because August I'm going to be away most of the time. Up north. So, I don't think you'll be seeing a review series in August or a franchise review series for some time. A lot likely till November, maybe. But until then, guys, that'll be it for this epic rant. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don J. Corleone.